My name is Haley, and my story is probably one of the weirdest you'll ever hear. First off, Haley was the name I chose when I was 7. When I was born, my parents never gave me a name. My dad left a few days after I was born. When I asked Mom about Dad, she said, "Your father ran away to become an actor in California." My mom just called me you, or girl, or child whenever she wanted my attention. I was only a kid. I didn't know any better. When I started school, I told everyone my name was Yu. "Are you Chinese?" They thought my name was spelled Y-U. "Yeah, I think so." But all the other kids had great names. I hated them for it, and I was always super jealous. It made me feel rotten to think that my parents didn't even love me enough to name me. It wasn't until 2nd grade that my teacher finally said something. She asked if my name really was Yu after I spelt it 3 different ways on my homework. "That's what my mom calls me." "What else does she call you?" "I have lots of names. Girl, kid, child, mistake." My teacher looked horrified. She called my mom and they met with the principal. The next thing I knew, they'd called in child services, who took me away from my mom and moved me to a new family. My new mom let me pick my own name. I picked Haley because it was the first name I saw on the cover of a magazine sitting on her kitchen table. For a while, I was really happy. I finally had a name. But then, my jealousy kicked in again. When I was in the 7th grade, everyone at my new school was always talking about where their parents were taking them. "My mom is taking me to Disney World this summer. My dad just bought a new car and said I can have it when I'm older." I didn't want to bug my sweet new parents to spend even more money on me. So instead of feeling sorry for myself, I decided to show them up. "My parents are taking me on a cruise around the world this summer. Oh, and then we're going to Disney too." Everyone was shocked. It sounded like the coolest vacation ever. Too bad it was a lie. But now everyone wanted pictures and videos of the vacation. Thankfully, my new dad was a photographer and owned a studio in town. One night, I snuck into his office while he was sleeping and stole the keys to his studio. He had a whole bunch of fake backgrounds I could use. All I had to do was stand in front of the camera and smile. I took pictures in Paris, Rome, Tokyo, Hawaii, and Los Angeles. Of course, I made sure to take a bunch of pictures in Disney World. Everyone fell for it. I was the coolest kid in school, and everyone wanted to know what life was like in other countries. France? Oh, it's just like here, except they speak French. Japan? Same as here, but they speak Japanese. This one girl, Nicole, thought I was so cool. But only at first. She wanted to be my best friend and said I could go on vacation with her family next summer. We did everything together. I was really fond of Nicole and thought she was just the prettiest. But yeah, sometimes it got hard being in my best. Her whole face changed. The next day, I leaked the information on Facebook anonymously. Immediately, everyone started making fun of her and stopped being friends with her. But the next day, I found out she was planning to move because of how much everyone was trolling her. She'd even gotten ill. I felt so bad. I hadn't known it'd grow so out of control, so I went and publicly apologized to her. What a foolish thing to do. Everyone at school lost it at me. Suddenly, I was the villain. I knew I deserved it, but I was devastated because after that, high school was pretty lonely. After graduation, I got a job working at a daycare center. On my first day, I met a boy my age named Mark. He'd worked there for a few years and all the kids loved him. They didn't feel the same about me. One kid threw a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at me on my first day and got my hair all gross and sticky. Mark rushed over to hand me a towel and told me to go wash my hair in the sink.
They just have to get used to you.
Part of me was annoyed that he was so cool, and the other part wanted to immediately ask him out on a date. I enjoyed going to work, but I couldn't stand how much all the kids liked Mark more than me. I even snuck them extra candy one day, and they still threw their food at me. My boss came up to me one day as I was peeling a piece of ham off my shirt.
"You're trying too hard, Haley. They can tell. Try being yourself."
"But they all like Mark so much more, and none of them like me. It's not fair."
Don't be jealous of how much they like him. Instead, show how happy you are that they like him, and they'll like you too.
The next morning at the door of daycare, something caught my attention. It was a crying baby left in a cardboard box. There was a note and an envelope attached to the baby. It read, "Congratulations, you found our baby. Please don't tell her she was abandoned by her parents. If it helps, tell her she at least cost us a fortune. There's $1,500 in the envelope for your troubles and diapers. Thanks, good luck. How could someone be so heartless? How could I just leave this baby alone with $1,500 attached to her? I took her home and told the story to my step-parents. They were horrified that someone would do that. I didn't tell them about the money though. I kept it hidden in my pocket. But they said they couldn't afford to take care of another child, and if I wanted to keep the baby, I'd have to raise and take care of her. So I became a mom. It was also my responsibility to name the baby. I named her Hope, little baby Hope. Hope was a handful at first, but I got the hang of motherhood pretty quick. I'd take Hope to work with me and she got to play with the other kids. A miracle happened. They started to like me. Raising Hope taught me how to talk to and play with other kids in the daycare. It wasn't just about candy and toys. They just wanted someone to talk to and hang out with. Mark definitely noticed.
Looks like you won't be covered in food today, Haley. And you must be Hope. Hi, I'm Mark.
He smiled at her and she laughed. Suddenly, I started panicking. What if my baby Hope started liking him better too? I pulled her away from him. Listen, just stay away from my daughter. She's mine and I'm not sharing her love with you. For a minute, Mark looked shocked and then he left. A few days later, while I was at the daycare, some of the kids started fighting. Since Hope was asleep, I left her and ran to the kids to break up the fight. But right in the middle of the fight, I heard Hope scream. I wanted to run to her, but I couldn't leave these kids. For a minute, she was crying, and suddenly she stopped. When I got to her, I found her in Mark's arms. She was cooing at him, and just then, she saw me and reached her cute baby arms towards me. I suddenly felt overwhelmed. She did love me more than Mark. A happy tear trickled down my cheek, and Mark seemed to understand because he said,
"She is your daughter, and she will always choose you."
Mark was just good with kids. I didn't need to be jealous of that. But as soon as I had this great revelation about myself, it all came crashing down. One day I got to the daycare to find a rich-looking couple waiting for me. The minute they saw me and Hope, the woman jumped and snatched Hope from me.
"My baby, she looks like an angel."
"Your baby? Who are you?" Turns out they were Hope's birth parents, and her dad was really rich now, so they wanted her back. At first I refused, but they took the matter to court, and the court ruled that her birth parents were financially better off and deserved her. I was devastated. As they took my Hope away, all I could think was, now that she had everything, she would forget me. But a week later, they all showed up at the daycare again. Hope was crying. I ran to her, and the minute she saw me, she stopped crying and smiled the most adorable smile I had ever seen. They said that Hope wouldn't stop crying, so they figured she was missing me.
Looks like you were right. She loves you. I guess that makes sense. Say, would you like to babysit Hope?
I jumped at the offer. From that day, I became her official babysitter. Time passed and Mark and I started going to the same college. We started dating, and the day after we graduated, he asked me to marry him. On the day of our wedding, 6-year-old Hope was our flower girl. It's been 4 years since our marriage, and we had a little curly-haired boy named Martin. And whenever he seems like a handful, the only person he listens to is his adoptive sister, Hope.
Where am I? Suddenly, memories flooded my thoughts. The party, the girls, the accident.
Johnny!
Mom hugged me.
You're finally awake.
She sighed.
Francine, let him breathe.
Dad's jovial voice filled the room.
I must say, he does look better with those bandages.
Hillary, weeks, I began to feel more like myself. One afternoon, Brendan busted into my room with his phone in his hand.
Hey, Johnny, take a look at this.
Brendan handed me his phone. Pro Tech Company is ready to give back. Win one of our prosthetic legs today. It went on to say, in order to win, the family or friends of the individual must create a video stating why they're deserving of the leg. The cost of each leg was $30,000, and there were 3 legs to be won.
What's going on here?
Hillary peeked into my bedroom.
I, the best friend, found the ultimate solution for Johnny.
I handed Hillary the phone, who skimmed over the article.
This sounds way too good to be true. Let me do a quick search on Mr. Chang.
Hillary went on to tell us that Mr. Chang, the CEO and founder, recently won the lottery, which helped him get his company on track after struggling for the past 2 years. Mr. Chang's father lost his leg in a car accident when Mr. Chang was just a little boy. It was hard for his family because his dad agreed to help out. Over the next few days, my family, Brendan, and even some of the kids and teachers at school put together a video, and Brendan submitted it. Approximately 3 months later, we received a congratulatory letter from ProTech. I couldn't believe it. I won. We got a date and a time to go into ProTech to meet with Mr. Chang for a fitting of the leg. Once the fitting of the leg was completed, I caught her eye. She took the scissors and pried the sole of the leg off, and sure enough, there we found diamonds attached to a black cloth.
What?
As ropes. One of the men slammed a baton into Dad's leg. Dad howled in pain, and the man laughed.
Well, that isn't the prosthetic leg. Shall I try the other one?
No, I screamed. Dad pleaded.
Johnny, no!
I'm the one you want. One of the men grabbed Hillary and tied her to the chair while I was ordered to remove my leg. My hands trembled as I did as they asked. As soon as he lived just down the street, but his mom, Mrs. Pinder, said he was too busy with homework to come and chat with her.
I can't believe Brendan would betray us like that.
Hillary hissed angrily as she sat on my bed. I'm finding it hard to believe that myself.
Let's break in.
My eyes widened. What?
You heard me. Let's break in.
Even though I wasn't thrilled about the idea, I realized we didn't have a choice. Later that night, I watched as Hillary adjusted a mic and camera onto her clothes. She ensured that everything was streamed to my laptop.
Okay, I'll see you in a bit.
It wasn't long before Brendan showed up and gave a drink to another vacationer. Look, there he is again.
I'm going over.
I gulped the last of my drink and followed her.
Hi.
Brendan smiled politely.
Good evening, ma'am. How may I help you?
Compensated for the other half. To this day, I'm still searching for my family. All records of them have been removed from the system. It's as though they never existed. Police have tried to tell me they never existed, but I know that I'll see them again one day. I just have to keep hope alive.